Hey there, it's been a few weeks since I've put out a new video. I have been working on the launch of a brand new program called Regulate and prioritizing my own stress and emotional regulation. So on that note, today let's discuss the 3 ways that protein helps you regulate your emotions and your stress levels. Protein is often touted for muscle building, achieving a healthy weight, and keeping us full and our blood sugar more stable. But what if I told you that it might be behind emotional stability and stress management? At the end of this, I will share more about how to make these simple changes stick and tell you more about my Regulate program. But today I want to talk about why protein helps with our emotional stability, because I believe that when we know and understand why this works, we're more likely to make these habits stick. I don't just like to tell you eat more protein. I want you to understand exactly how the protein is going to help with stabilizing emotions and stress so that you can turn it into the easy solution that you need. So first and foremost, let's talk about blood sugar stability. You may have heard of blood sugar as it relates to diabetes or prediabetes, but it's gaining more popularity for everyone, especially in the wellness world right now, and for good reason. Blood sugar is our fuel. It's our body's energy source. It powers our brain, our muscles, our mood, and essentially helps us feel energy or lack thereof throughout the day. You probably have experienced periods where your blood sugar was low, and one example of this is feeling hangry, popularized by that Snickers bar commercial. However, Snickers bars are not the answer to low blood sugar. But when blood sugar is awry, it's easy to feel off. Hangry is that notorious feeling when you go too long without having a meal and you become fatigued, moody, irritable, you're ready to chew someone's head off. This is your body sending a signal that you need fuel. But how often do we write this off as a mood swing, road rage, or having a bad day? The reality is that we have way more control over this than we may realize. Having protein every few hours with meals and snacks is the solution. This helps to keep our blood sugar more stable for longer. And this is also why some people are wearing continuous glucose monitors, those devices on the back of your arm to monitor blood sugar regulation throughout the day. This can help you understand more about how certain foods influence your blood sugar levels and how these dips in energy may be related to changes in blood sugar. So next, let's talk about how the brain relies on amino acids from protein. Now, you may have heard of amino acids as the quote building blocks of protein. And when we eat a protein source, our body breaks protein down into these individual amino acids that are used for many different processes in the body and in the brain, including, and one of my favorite reasons for protein and amino acids is the production of our brain's feel-good neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. For example, tryptophan is an amino acid that is converted into serotonin and then converted into melatonin, our sleep hormone. Another amino acid, tyrosine, is the main component to the production of dopamine. If we are not consuming enough protein and enough of these amino acids in our diet, we may be lacking in some of these feel-good and regulating hormones. And in this case, digestive health is important too. We need to be able to adequately break down the protein in our stomach, and I see this really common in many clients, especially for those who have a history of digestive upset, a history of heavy alcohol consumption, or even a history of high stress, as this can start to break down the systems that produce those normal enzymes in the stomach. So in this case, you may be eating enough protein, but your body is actually not doing a good job of breaking it down, absorbing it, and you may need additional support like digestive enzymes. So let's get into some recommendations. A steady intake of protein throughout the day at every meal, alongside a source of healthy carbs and fiber. And in this case, this is making sure that protein is always the staple in each meal and snack. You want it to be the foundation of your meal, not just an afterthought or an add-on. So instead of thinking about breakfast being oats or toast, think about eggs as the foundation and then adding some additional things to that. So maybe you're having eggs and toast, or maybe you're having eggs and a side of oatmeal. A lot of people will think about snacking on fruit like an apple. You never want to have fruit like an apple alone because this can cause blood sugar to rise too quickly and drop off too quickly. You always want to pair this with a source of protein like cheese, almonds, or something else alongside it, so it's going to help stabilize that blood sugar response. And I know the temptation that arises in the afternoon when you're tired, you're ready for the day to be over, and all you want to do is grab for that candy or quick treat at the end of the day to give you energy to get through the rest of your afternoon. But in this case, what often happens is we have another sharp increase in our blood sugar followed by a drop. So what can be more beneficial here in the afternoon is something like a protein shake. I also want you to think about consuming protein with breakfast within an hour or so of waking up in the morning. Now, there's a lot of discussion about fasting, intermittent fasting, and if breakfast does have as much value as it has once been discussed. Now, I am a huge proponent of stabilizing blood sugar and cortisol, our body's stress hormone, first thing in the morning by having something to eat. Ideally, this happens within an hour or hour and a half, and this is going to set you up for success in blood sugar the rest of the day. When it comes to a meal, you want to aim for 30 grams of protein for each meal and at least 15 grams of protein at a snack. If it is less than that 15 grams, I wouldn't even really consider it a snack. I would then suggest bulking it up and making it more significant because that's going to help take the edge off of some of those ups and downs in your blood sugar, in your emotions, or in your stress. So let's discuss some of the best proteins for brain, mood, emotional regulation, stress regulation. Number one, I want to suggest wild-caught salmon or other wild-caught fatty fish. Not only are these a great source of protein, they also are a great source of vitamin B12, which is crucial for the brain and how we feel. Omega-3s, another critical nutrient for the brain, and even vitamin D, which has a special role in supporting mood, anxiety, and more. I also want to point out eggs, and eggs are often touted as the perfect protein, not only because they contain all of the amino acids in the egg whites, but the egg yolks themselves also contain many important nutrients for the brain. This includes choline, and this is one of the nutrients that we discuss in my Regulate program because it is so important for brain health, stress relief, resilience, and emotional stability. Nuts and seeds, particularly walnuts, almonds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, are all great sources of nutrients that support the brain. Lean proteins like chicken and turkey especially, they are sources of tryptophan, that amino acid that helps to support the production of serotonin. Other plant-based sources of protein like beans and legumes are also helpful and can contain a wide variety of B vitamins and minerals, but animal proteins are important. The other thing to note is variety is important. So getting a little bit of different protein sources throughout the week or throughout the day can be really useful in ensuring that you're getting a variety of amino acids and a variety of different nutrients. This is something that I really struggled with, and I find so many of my clients do as well, which is why I'm bringing this topic to you to think about. If you struggle with balancing your emotions, having or managing stress on a day-to-day basis, I want you to think about how you're eating and how that may be influencing how you feel. I know it seems a little elementary to think about eating and our emotional regulation or how we feel, but I find so often that we are overlooking this, especially protein, as the key foundation to supporting our mood, our stress resilience, and our emotions. To learn more about food for emotional regulation and stress regulation, check out my Regulate program. It is a nutrition-based plan for regulating your nervous system and supporting stress through simple changes in your nutrition. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and let me know in the comments 1 to 2 changes that you're going to implement this week for more emotional stability. And I'll see you next time on the Dr. Brooke Scheller Show.